Howdy everyone, I'm back with another recipe. It is October and it is fall, and I am using some recipes that use beer. I'm going to be making a beer chili for you. I've already got started on a beer bread, which is in the oven, which I will be doing in another video. Well, will be in another video, and I will link that below so that you can get to that. I'm going to go ahead and go through the ingredients as I'm adding them to my chili, but I will also write them down at the bottom. They'll be in my blog, and of course you can go there and read it from there, or just follow the video, and I'll be back. All right, so my first ingredient is 1 pound of ground beef. You can use ground chicken or you can use ground turkey. If you want to go for a vegan substitute, then you obviously don't have to go through this process of cooking it. Just follow the instructions for whatever product you're going to use instead. So the way that I like to do it is in my cold pan. I like to pour in about 1/4 cup of water. And put my meat in the water so that I can break it up. The water helps to break it up before I start cooking it, and it's important that the water is cold to break it up. Otherwise, if it's hot, your meat will start cooking and it'll be harder to break it up. So I want to just break it up in my pan, and I'm going to show you that once I get that to where I want it, and then I'll get. All right, so here we go. I've got my meat, and this is what I want it to look like when I've broken it up in the water. And I did add another 1/4 cup of water, so altogether it was a 1/2 cup of water. I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and start cooking it and keep moving it around so I don't get big clumps. I don't want big clumps. And when this is browned, and I will then drain a little bit of the, this is a 93% fat-free ground chuck. So it's not going to have a lot of fat that it will render, but any bits that are in there, I'm going to drain them out. And then I'm going to set it aside. All right, so I've drained off most of the liquid that was in there. The good thing about cooking with the water is that it helps to drain out any bit of fat that's in there. So now I'm going to add some cumin, some salt and pepper, just to flavor it, and you can add whatever seasonings you want. But we are going to be adding some more to the chili product, so I'm just going to add salt, pepper, and a little bit of cumin to this. If you don't like cumin, then you can just leave that part out. And then I'm going to put it in a little bowl over to the side, and then I'm going to continue. All right, so now I am going to, the same pan that I cooked my meat in, just go ahead and leave it as that, and I'm going to add a little, just enough olive oil, maybe a tablespoon, to coat the bottom. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to saute a few vegetables. And here I've got cut up 2 carrots and 1 bell pepper. So I'm going to add that in there. And if you like some other veggies, you could add a different veggie. The recipe only calls for bell pepper and onions, but I went ahead and added carrots because I wanted to make it a little heartier, and I wanted to have, you know, something pretty besides just onions and bell pepper. And this is 1 whole onion. And my bell pepper was kind of like a medium size, not a very big bell pepper, but it does ask for a large one. But since I used 2 carrots in there, I figured that was okay. And I've also got chopped up here 2 kind of large cloves of garlic. And it asked for 4 cloves of garlic, but these were really big. They were like double the size, so I just did 2, and I chopped them up. And now that I've got all the other vegetables out of the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mince them up a little bit more. And I'm not going to add this to this yet. I'm going to saute these veggies and keep my eye on them. And just stir them regularly and keep my temperature on my stove at a kind of like a medium to low temperature. While my veggies cook up, and I'll be back. All right, my veggies, I went ahead and I covered my veggies, and I just kind of lifted it up ever so often and stirred them around. That was so that they could steam and sweat in there a little bit and get cooking, and they're looking real nice. So I'm just going to add some salt and pepper to this. It asks for let's see, 1/2 teaspoon each of salt and pepper, but I'm not going to add that much salt. A little, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon, and I'm just going to add pepper to my heart's desire. I think that's good. And no more of those two. That's it, because I did season my meat. And my veggies are, and they've got about 2 more minutes to saute. I decided that I would do 6 to 8 minutes. It's been about 6 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and go another 2 minutes, and I'll be back. And I can smell my beer bread in the oven. Time to check on that. All right, it's been 8 minutes that my vegetables have been sauteing and steaming and sweating in this little pan with a little bit of olive oil, and then I added some salt and pepper, and now it's time to add some more ingredients. You're going to add about a tablespoon of chili powder, and I just happen to have about a tablespoon left. It's maybe a little tiny bit more. You're going to add about a tablespoon of your favorite hot sauce. You can add sriracha, Louisiana, tapatio. If you want to go really hot, you can go this, or you could go like some Tabasco, or leave that out if you can't handle that. You can add about a tablespoon of this if you don't mind the heat. If you prefer, you can chop up some jalapenos, remove the seeds and the little vein inside of the jalapeno, where that's where a lot of the heat is, or the most of the heat is. You can remove that, and then it won't be as hot and make a milder chili. By the way, this smells so good that I've added the hot sauce and the chili powder to this. You could add some paprika or something, maybe some cayenne powder to this instead of the hot sauce. Yeah, paprika instead of chili powder, just give it a nice little red color. Now I'm going to add 12 ounces of any dark beer. You can see this is a nice dark beer. 12 ounces of that. Get that in there. Going to add my pound of ground beef. I said you could use chicken, you could use turkey, or if you want to use a vegan substitute, this is where you would add that in. You could just make this a whole veggie chili and just add some potatoes or something else that's been cooked, or you've been cooking it along with this. Okay, then you can add either black beans or kidney beans or both. I don't know why there's a little bit of a cloud on the side of my camera. But anyway, it's not a filter to make me look younger. Look at that. How young is that? More like ghostly. But anyway, you're going to add some beans if you don't mind beans. I love beans. You can add pinto beans if you'd rather have that. I'm just going to add some red kidney beans, 1 whole can, and I've drained that before. I didn't drain it like completely drained. There was a tiny little bit of liquid in there, and that's okay. And that gets added in the pan. This is a 15-ounce can, and I'm going to add a 28-ounce can of, this says petite diced tomatoes. So just a 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes. I'm adding that into there, and I am going to turn up my heat just a little bit, just up to about a medium. I had it on low the whole time. And then I'm going to let this come back up to a nice heat. And then I'm going to lower it to simmer. And this is going to simmer for about 30 minutes. Just to get all those flavors to marry each other. Make sure all your little veggies are, nice and tender and cooked. If it is before that time and you're happy with it, great. You could do a little bit longer, don't worry. So that's just an approximation of how much time you're going to need. I'm going to cover it up, let it keep cooking, and we'll be back in 30 minutes. Oh, by the way, that garlic, I forgot to add it in. When I was sauteing the vegetables, the 6 to 8 minutes, I should have added my garlic in there and sauteed it for a couple of minutes and then added all the rest of the ingredients. So don't forget to do that. I'm adding it now. It's going to be okay. It's going to add some flavor in there anyway. At least I know my garlic isn't burnt, so I know I won't have that burnt flavor. All right, 30 minutes later, and my chili is done. Look at that. That looks so good and so hearty. it's time to do a taste test. Here's our chili all plated up, and you can just dollop the top with some sour cream, and of course, a piece of your beer bread. Time for a taste here. Nice, warm, cozy, delicious, perfect chili. All right, well, if you have a recipe for your favorite chili and you'd like to add a link below, please do so in the comments and leave something nice, say something nice. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And as always, enjoy.